Hi. So we have plenty to talk about this week. There's a lot of things going on, and it's getting real interesting out here. First of all, Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer are out of Xbox, and the new president, Asha Sharma, and Matt Booty are in. I think Matt Booty is now master of content or what, some weird title that makes absolutely no sense. And then Asha is taking over Phil's position, which is interesting because Sarah Bond was supposed to be in that position, but she is also leaving as well. President and CEO Sarah Bond has spoken for the first time since Friday's news that she is leaving Microsoft ahead of gaming's Phil Spencer. Asha Sharma, who was previously head of core AI at Microsoft, was named as the company's new head of gaming in a surprise announcement on Friday, replacing 35-year company veteran Spencer. Bond's departure from Microsoft was equally unexpected. The executive joined Microsoft in 2017, overseeing gaming business partnerships in 2023. She was promoted to president of Xbox, reporting directly to Spencer. Writing on LinkedIn, Bond said she now decided that now is the right time for me to take my next step, both personally and professionally. Shared praise for the incoming CEO, Sharma. I know there's a lot of news to take in today, Bond wrote. I'm incredibly proud of what we've built together over the past 8+ years. PC and cloud gaming are growing faster than ever. Our next console is well underway, and together we help lay the foundation for a more open gaming platform that spans devices and reaches players around the world. When we announced our intention to acquire Activision Blizzard in 2022, I committed helping lead Xbox into what would be a critical period of change. Over the past 4 years, we have navigated that moment together and positioned a business for what comes next. We took some of the biggest challenges this organization has even faced and did it as one team. With that, I've decided this is the right time to take my next step, personally and professionally. We're living through a transformative technological era that will shape the next generations of our industry, and I'm energized by what's ahead. Bond said she feels there's a unique opportunity for fresh eyes and new leadership at Xbox to guide the team into its next chapter, and confirmed that she will maintain some contact with Microsoft as a special advisor. I've had the privilege of spending time with Asha over the last few weeks, and we've planned for this transition, and I've seen firsthand her deep commitment to our players and developers and brand, she says. She brings deep technology and commerce experience along with a strong track record of building, scaling platforms the world uses. Xbox deserves this, and I'm excited to see her lead this next chapter on our team. I'll remain as a special advisor to Asha to help ensure a smooth transition and set the organization up for continued success. Now, reading that kind of leads me to believe a few things. One, mainly the focus on AI, which is going to be a big part in gaming because the up top people deem it so. So the reason why they're bringing her on is mainly due to her experience and her usage of AI. I think that's going to be a big part going forward. I think also there's another reason for that, but I'm going to put a pin in that and bring it up in just a little bit. But Phil Spencer thanked her boss for mentorship and friendship. He's been a consistent champion of the business and people who make it what it is, and I've learned a great deal from the way he leads through both opportunity and challenge. I'm grateful for his trust and support through my entire time on the team. I also want to thank Satya for his sponsorship and support through my time at Microsoft. So that Satya is he is the CEO of Microsoft at this point. But it's interesting though that Satya is the head of Microsoft, and now Asha is the head of the Microsoft Xbox gaming division. It doesn't lessen a lot of the things that people are saying right now. It really does kind of like have you asking a few questions about what the hell is actually going on here. Now, there's talk on the internet about the procedures of certain people from certain parts of the world hiring other members of that race into prominent positions and getting everybody else out of those positions, and then the job actually turning into a unpleasant place because of that. People will say that's racist. However, there are incidents of this happening, and there's actual cases that show this stuff happens where things get to the point of where there's so many people that have been pushed out for people of a particular race in this instance, wind up making the conditions there unworkable due to implementing certain belief systems that were in place in their own country of origin, namely the caste system. But I digress. We're not here to focus on that. We're here to focus on the gaming aspect of this. So let's start with this. There's been a lot of talk about this. I think mainly the biggest thing has been kind of digging into Asha's career and what's going on. People have been checking her gamer score and stuff like that. It's kind of like the post your hours thing, which it's whatever. There's certain games that player scores don't look authentic. She's only been gaming for a year, she says, but she's racked up a ton of achievements from playing time. To the layman, that would kind of seem a little suspicious. She's also been replying to people. She might be using ChatGPT or something like that to reply to them. And of course, it led to this. You don't have to be a gamer to work in video games. You don't have to have a gaming background to run a game company. The industry could do with some outside thinking, frankly, which is fascinating. The reason why you're seeing a lot of things going on, especially in the industry, is because you have a lot of people with marketing backgrounds and other things that are involved that aren't necessarily gamers, and they don't necessarily understand what moves games. The reason why games are in the state that they are is because we have a lot of people that don't have a gaming background getting involved in gaming. And this is why you're seeing a bunch of situations where you have 100 hero shooters or 100 battle royales, or all those types of games are running rampant. We've had 4 high-profile, well, maybe 5 high-profile flops. Highguard is the current high-profile flop, only to find out that that game actually had backing from Tencent. So it wasn't necessarily an indie game. It didn't necessarily get picked up by the Game Awards and shown off by Keeley because he looked at this game and realized it was good. It's because he has a working relationship with Tencent, and Tencent basically pulled his card on it and told him to post up Highguard as the last game in the primetime spot. We have to basically turn this multi-billion-dollar industry that actually grew on the backs of people who were gamers and were computer nerds. We have to basically take that billion-dollar industry that was built from nothing after a 1983 crash, and we have to allow these executive types to come in and basically ruin this shit, because you don't need experience for that. It's really interesting though, like you tried to create this narrative, and this is an interesting narrative because you're going to see a lot of people trying to push the same narrative. It's almost like the talking points are similar. Anti-social justice responds with, after a string of disastrous failures, losing hundreds of millions of dollars and closing studio after studio, why bother having an understanding of your audience? It's all just live service or non-live service slot buckets. So they brought in a non-gamer for Ubisoft, and now they're a penny stock throwing out mass layoffs. They brought in a non-gamer for Sweet Baby Inc. They killed IPs and shut down studios. They brought in a non-gamer for Zynga. They flooded the market with Farmville clones and ruined a genre, ending up selling the company for scraps. They brought in a non-gamer for Activision, who ran into the ground so thoroughly that Microsoft bought them out. Now they brought in a non-gamer for Xbox. Stay tuned. And that's interesting. The person who runs Ubisoft founded Ubisoft. Take-Two is run by a non-gamer. Nintendo, for the start of its history, was led by a non-gamer. I'm not gonna pull the bullshit over your eyes and tell you that Yamauchi was a person that played video games. Yamauchi was famously only interested in Go, but he surrounded himself with people that were very familiar with what they were doing, and he had the final say on things. Yamauchi did actually sit in and watch people play things and ask things like, is it entertaining? Is it fun? Is it interesting? Those are the differences between a lot of this stuff. Now, somebody's going to make a really interesting statement, and I'm going to have to go hard in because Yamauchi also famously told Xbox where to stick it when Xbox was considering buying them. When it was ran by Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer's a computer guy, but I'm sure he played computer games. I think the biggest answer that I have is that it's interesting that we talk about like people don't play video games should be in the spot where you had Laura Fryer was involved in getting some of the biggest games out the door. And she even understands the executive thinking is actually hurting more than helping. Now, I'm not saying that executives shouldn't exist in this field, but giving executives carte blanche on the industry is probably not a good idea because they're only thinking about dollar signs and not the actual state of keeping the industry going. If things fall apart, if the industry falls apart, if the gaming industry crashes again for a third time, it will hurt us more than it will hurt the executives. The executives can pivot into other positions in other companies. They'll fail upward as they tend to do. Everybody else that's involved here is going to get hurt. And the Xbox are going to disappear. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. They're going to pivot to something else too. There's a lot of parasites in the gaming industry. I understand that. But to have somebody on the inside that actually plays video games and understands the business and understands what makes gamers happy, that's having a finger on the pulse. It's nice to have somebody that's in touch with the product that you're selling, or have an understanding of the product you're selling. We used to do that. It's always the concept of maintaining access. We're saying these things because we want to perpetuate these things. And when things go south, we pretend we never said those things in the first place. So K-Med over here. Oh, and Demian TV, you idiot. How many platinum trophies did Jim Ryan have? How many did Doug Bowser grind out during a 100-hour Switch playthrough? I'll say it again, you do not need to be a gamer to run a gaming company. Some of the most successful executives in modern business came from completely different fields than the industries they ended up in, transforming, and they were super successful. Mary Dillon, Ulta Beauty, Lou Gerstner, IBM, Hubert Joly, Best Buy. Yes, Best Buy is doing real well right now. They're doing fantastic, I'm sure. Especially in the midst of shortages that are hurting them. But that's not their fault. Getting rid of their physical media is their fault, though, and making it look like a fucking warehouse. That's perfect. PepsiCo led a massive global expansion, strategic redesign, and years of regrowth. None of them are industry insiders. None of them are lifelong experts on the products they managed or sold. All of them succeeded because of leadership. Is about judgment, humility, and surrounding yourself with people who do know the craft, which you know nothing about. I'm going to say that outsiders are great fits for companies because they actually come in with a fresh perspective, but then call you an outsider and basically tell you that you have no idea what's going on. Fascinating behavior. I don't think you're stupid, but I do think you're not a fraction as clever as you think you are. Ulta Beauty's problem was scalability. Solution, hire someone immediately familiar with global scale. IBM's problem with budgeting and mismanaging of finances. Solution, hire a financial expert. Best Buy's problem was literally feeling unwelcoming and elitist, as evidenced by countless customer surveys. Hire someone from hospitality. Pepsi's problem was a bloated, unfocused corporate portfolio not in line with shifting consumer desires. Hire a master corporate strategist from Boston Consulting Group to acquire trending brands and spin off the fast food division. Xbox's issue is they don't understand what gamers want anymore, and their solution is to hire someone that isn't a gamer. That's the point. Everybody in this conversation that is pushing this shit has some weird agenda, and it's too damn telling. So this one surprised me. Danny Pena. I find it hilarious when people think you need to be a gamer to be a CEO of a gaming company. Unlocking achievements isn't going to help you sell a console or games. There's a long list of exclusives who change gaming because they're good at the business side, not by how many hours you played in a game. This is wild to me since Danny Pena is the host of Gamertag Radio. Danny Pena tried to rebuild XPlay with a whole bunch of other people. He had no experience in that. And hired a bunch of people that were terrible fits for XPlay. You hired Black Hokage, you hired Frost, you hired Adam Sessler, you hired Gerard the Completionist, who has an issue with scamming people apparently. These were all terrible fits. They all basically caused the downfall of this project. Again, don't step into things that you know are gonna backfire on you. This is a terrible take. I would have just kept my mouth shut and kept it pushing, but again, everybody involved in this that is pushing that you don't need experience in order to run large companies in the gaming industry. They all have a part to play in this discussion. Spawnyard, it's like you all don't understand how business works. It's like Xbox is doomed. Asha Sharma's not a gamer. So is the CEO of Take-Two, Strauss Zelnick, publisher of GTA, RDR, and many more. And you'd be surprised to find many more. The thing is, Asha's hired to scale Xbox. They already have many studios that'll be making great games for them. Her job is to scale Xbox as a platform, and for that, she doesn't have to be a gamer. She has to successfully scale products across Instacart, Meta, Facebook, and that's why she's brought in as the CEO of Xbox. Well, Laura Fryer had the same amount of experience, and I think Laura also worked for Meta and Facebook. Why is Laura Fryer not being headhunted into that position? But of course, I digress. Let's look at our buddy over here. Strauss, the greediest man in gaming, Zelnick. This is what people that have experienced the glory that is Take-Two, this is what they have to say on this. Why has there never been a real discussion on this gritty Wall Street POS before, either on the forums or a YouTuber doing a feature? Many people have done it on Andrew Wilson, EA, the Guillemets, Ubisoft, and former Activision CEO Bobby Kotick, but never have I seen one on this guy who's arguably even worse than all of them. Recently, Humble Bundle, a site that sells CD keys and donates a percentage to charity, has been putting pre-orders up for 2K games, which is normal. The only thing is, unlike Sega, Capcom, Namco, even Bethesda and Square Enix, that gives a 10 to 20% discount for Humble, Zelnick has ordered that Humble exclude the 2K games from any choice discount to his already outrageous prices on titles of the platform. Civilization 7, a game being review bombed right now for its predatory early access system, as well as being a broken mess, is currently $120 for the standard edition, $160 for the deluxe edition, and $200 for the founders edition of this crap in Australia, which exceeds the cost of the UK and US versions after conversion by a lot. Disgraceful, and barely a word from Jim Sterling or any of the other YouTube mouthpieces about this scumbag. This was last year, February 7th of last year. Like Electronic Arts, their 2K sports games are rife with heavy microtransaction abuse. They also approach many studios and milk their franchises and shut them down later. Even the two universally acclaimed games like Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 could not escape from having pay-to-win online modes. 40 hours for Darth Vader in Star Wars Battlefront 2 was enough for lawsuits to be able to unlock Mutombo and NBA 2K. You would need to make the game a 16-hour day job up until they turned off the servers, with GTA Online and Red Dead Online having similarly long and frustrating grinds. Their microtransactions are nearly as bad as Gameloft's games after Vivendi acquired the aforementioned company. They're firmly against modding in their games, contrary to Volition, much like how hateful they are towards their fan base. The most infamous example of this is when they killed the Open4 modeling tool used by Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5. Thankfully, Rockstar Games brought it back after widespread consumer backlash. They threatened legal action against a modder of Red Dead Redemption called Gaming Damned. They even went so far as to find private information about this modder, the Pinkerton situation, to call not only him but multiple members of his family. During these calls, they have no reason as to why they wanted his mods taken down and were also very rude towards him. Eventually, they filed a lawsuit against him for $500,000. They filed DMCA takedowns and raided Discord servers and filed a lawsuit against GTA modders who reverse engineered the source code for Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City, known as RE3 and ReVC, after the games were unofficially ported to systems like the Wii U, the PlayStation Vita, and the Nintendo Switch. Although the aforementioned games came out 20 years ago at this point and were still relevant in the gaming industry thanks to that. That would be like if Bethesda took down source ports of Doom or Quake and sued the people behind those fan-made source ports. As if that wasn't enough, on July 17th of 2021, they also sent mass takedowns for mods of older GTA games that uses those assets from other games in the series, including GTA LC, which converts the maps and missions from GTA 3 into Vice City, which has been in development for over 15 years, as well as GTA Underground, a massive mod for GTA San Andreas that ports the maps from GTA 3, Vice City, and non-GTA games like Bully and Manhunt. They even took down original mods such as Vice City, which was a HD texture mod, and GTA Miami Vibe, which was a completely original mod made from scratch. This had caused longtime GTA modders Silent to lose interest in working in GTA mods or projects. Even worse, one Grand Theft Auto 5 mod called Liberty City Preservation Project was released at the start of 2025, which mod was taken down by Take-Two weeks later. Said mod was in development since 2018, 6 years of development, only just to be shut down 2 weeks later. What a way to take down a long-awaited mod, Take-Two. And the reason they are against modding is probably because they're unhappy that modders added online exclusive content into the offline mod instead of buying them, which caused them to lose profit. They even censor comments that contain the words mods posted on the official Rockstar Games YouTube accounts. Even though it was proven that they were only doing single player modding, they decided to obliterate the modding scene. They even took down the save files that were shared online for GTA games, which aren't hurting the economy in any way, shape, or form. As if that's not enough, they also took down an Unreal Engine edition of San Andreas, which ironically was a video on YouTube. To add that salt to the wound, the animators themselves said that they had no plans of making an Unreal Engine remaster of the game. They later deleted their channel after the video was taken down. Another reason is that they don't take the focus away from the remakes and remasters of older games. This is the egregious part that bothers me the most because I've covered this before. Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition released on November 11th. Furthermore, they forced Rockstar to delist the original releases of the older games on digital storefronts starting on October 13th, possibly so that people can no longer mod them and don't take away any potential revenue that the remaster collection made. Sound familiar? And that wasn't enough for them. Once again, they took a shot at Flat 2 VR, a mod that gives VR support to not only GTA GTA, but other games made by companies owned by Take-Two, such as Mafia. What makes all of this downright hypocritical is that Take-Two used to support modders in the past, and that they gave some of their software to developers of the multiplayer mod for Multi-Theft Auto, for example, although that was before Strauss Zelnick's era. They forced 3D Realms into bankruptcy following the troubled development of Duke Nukem Forever. This showcases how poorly the company tends to treat much smaller studios by not giving them much time and forcing constant changes with the game that developers are making, and even nearly causing the game to get flat out canceled. Ever since the entire Duke Nukem Forever fiasco that happened in '97 and continued until 2011, 3D Realms and Take-Two have never worked with each other ever again, and have put a curse on the studio that completely haunts them to this day. They ruined the WWE series by making games expensive and never dropping the prices. They've now destroyed the series with their bug glitched and technically issued to oblivion disaster, which was WWE 2K20, by splitting with Ukes and accusing them of not making more than enough money as they were. After reluctantly removing loot boxes from 2K18, Take-Two tried to convince consumers, which included children, to contact their local government and beg them to allow loot boxes in efforts to exact revenge on Belgium for banning them. They were responsible for publishing the multiplayer shooter Evolve. Oh, I remember Evolve, which was infamous for its rampant DLC abuse, including but not limited to announcing pre-order bonuses before any substantial gameplay was shown. Despite Turtle Rock's efforts to bring the game to a more acceptable standard by making it free to play, Take-Two pulled the plug on the game only a month later. The company is highly capitalist. Well, there's nothing wrong with being capitalist, but there is a problem with being extremely corporatist and kind of dickheadish. Firmly believing that trying to attain a game's rewards is purely gameplay under monetizing and giving stuff away for free in perpetuity. The method of abusing microtransactions is nauseating. They allow their games to have apologizingly slow progression systems to prey on players' impatience, all to encourage microtransaction purchases. Even worse, the company's CEO gets bonuses based on microtransaction targets. This gives T2 more excuses to pressure players into spending money with their side payments and push even harder for them in future titles, which is a scary thought. Even worse than this, as pointed by Jim Sterling, is their lust for child exploitation through microtransaction abuse and gambling mechanics such as loot boxes, to the point where they're attending seminars to learn how to get kids addicted to gambling, which is not just unethical but straight up illegal and complete violation of the Children's Online Privacy Act, COPPA. The worst part about this is that no one has been arrested for this yet, which means that they easily hide this from the public. In the worst case scenario, they bribe authorities to turn a blind eye. And the second case scenario comes to be true, essentially foul play. There's so much more in this. And I know people are going to say the monetizing hours thing, like that's the most popular thing. And according to Game Industry Biz, I know where your bread is buttered too. So there's an article that comes out that says Strauss Zelnick didn't say games should be priced per hour. But is he right about their value? And surprise, surprise, Christopher Durang is here. Strauss Zelnick actually doesn't suggest the game should be priced hourly. Instead, his response is simply the same long-held view from executives that in this business, the video games, broadly speaking, are good value for the money because of the depth and length of the experience. In terms of pricing for any entertainment property, basically the algorithm is the value of the expected entertainment usage, which say that the per hour value times the number of expected hours plus the terminal value that's perceived by the customer and ownership of the title is owned or subscribed to. And you'll see that bears out in any kind of entertainment vehicle. By that standard, our frontline prices are still very low because we offer many hours of engagement. The value of the engagement is very high, so I think the industry as a whole offers a terrific price to value opportunity for consumers. That doesn't necessarily mean that the industry has pricing power or wants to have pricing power. However, there is a great deal of value offered. And look, it's our strategy to deliver much more value than what we charge consumers. It's always been our strategy here. We want to make sure the experience is first class, and the nature of the experience is not just the quality of what we offer, it's what you pay for. Everyone knows that anecdotally. Not once in any part of this discussion have you talked about making fun games for people, making games people like be entertained by, or any of that sort. Even Reggie would say, if it's not fun, then why bother? Like, nobody is talking about fun in this equation. It's all about metrics and hours played and time spent and value, which value to them is pretty much how many hours are you subjected to in-game ads, microtransactions, and the like. You're treating this like a clinical procedure. There's a good reason why they're trying to get the new CEO in the position that she is. One, there's that thing that I was talking about earlier where they're trying to get people of a certain persuasion in positions of power in businesses. She also has AI experience, and I think Microsoft and Xbox are going to be trying to push AI as much as possible going forward. You see what's going on with Microsoft, where they're trying to push Copilot onto everyone. They're really trying to push Copilot into everything to get everyone involved. They have basically got rid of certain legacy Microsoft features in order to push a piggyback Copilot version to people, which people are not interested in. They don't want that. The third reason that they're trying to push is the fact that, and it's the same thing with Sarah Bond, putting a woman up front gives you a kind of a shield aspect to where any criticism of the company, any criticism of the business, or any criticism of how things are going will be met with, well, you're a misogynist, you're sexist, you don't like women in business, and all this other stuff. This is the gameplay tactic that they have been using since 2016. And now this is the end of the logical thought process. We're going to fundamentally change your gaming, and we're going to put women in those positions so that they can't be criticized. The company and the people that are up top above this are going to push the agendas that they want to push. But I think that because you put a woman in a spot of power, that you can't question that woman for fear of being called names. Now, there's a lot of Xbox fans, a lot of Xbox shills that are going to go along with this, and you're going to see a lot of this going forward. You're going to see a lot of people try to pull the you can't insult her, you can't question her, gangster, you can't do any of this stuff because she's clearly a female, and by doing that it just shows how sexist you are. And they're going to continue this well into the company falling apart even further, because I don't think this is going to fix anything for Xbox. I think this is going to make things worse. You're just accelerating things, which is why you have people like Nier over here, the God Empress of Mankind, but with the worst fucking takes possible. We've talked about her takes on RNH before. I genuinely can't with this app. Hey, Xbox lady, what are your favorite games? Here. Actually, she's lying because she was negative 6 months old when this launched. Only has 34 hours logged, even though the game released offline in 1422 BC. And also, she can't possibly game because Jupiter is in Pepsi. Women can't be criticized for anything because of any form of accountability. They dodge that motherfucker like Goku. I'm curious though, for any CEO that's female in gaming or higher positions only made things worse. Why are you not suspicious about her? Because she hasn't had time to do anything yet? All she has done so far is say AI will be taking a passive role in making games and will be human made and shared our favorite games. That's literally nothing to criticize. So yes, I'm going to ignore everything until things go to shit, and then I'm going to shut the hell up, because that's how Neura moves in these situations. The moment the bottom falls out, it's just on to the next topic. Her Xbox account has a ton of games added magically, but they can only be dated back to a month ago. And people did the same kind of investigation into Phil Spencer too, and often suspect he has a team playing games for him on the account. Of course they do. Okay, so then why are you not suspicious on that? Now, whatever, if you don't believe that, that this is a propped up person or whatever, that's fine. I can't do anything about that. I can't get mad at you. But to pull the 2016, why are you getting down on women for shit? Like, the ladies are in charge, so we're going to ignore anything that's questionable all the way up until the bed is shat upon. And then we're going to just ignore that and move on to something else, because, again, everybody in this story has a part to play. And that's why I'm pointing this out. Anyways, thank you for joining me for this, and I will see you next boss fight. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.